Was so important to the trial?
The Duggiel massacre of 1982 was probably the easiest case to prove. It also avoids certain international issues such as the genocide issue. It doesn't really qualify as genocide, it qualifies more as a massacre, which is a small-scale genocide issue. And the facts are much more evident. The evidence is there. There are videotapes, videotaped evidence. There are hundreds and hundreds of live witnesses that could attest to what happened. And the legal standard of proof required to prove that particular case is much lower. So I think ideally it's been chosen as the seminal case within which to try him, because right now in the beginning the tribunal is more focused on the procedural hurdles that they have to overcome from the defense, such as the supposed illegitimacy of the tribunal, the fact that there was a previous Iraqi constitution that the judges were sworn to uphold, guaranteeing Saddam Hussein governmental immunity. Whether or not the U.S. as an occupying force had a legitimate basis to actually aid in the establishment of the Iraqi Transitional Tribunal. So there's a lot of procedural hurdles that the defense is going to throw out, especially in the first phase of the prosecution. And they really want to get that over with.
We already know they're going to try and delay this trial as soon as it begins. How likely is it that the defense will be successful, Raul?
Very good question. I think that the defenses are pretty sound. You know, if you're going to compare it to the Rwandan issue or the Yugoslavian issue, you're going to compare it to international law at The Hague, for example. I mean, the defenses are pretty sound. Unfortunately, the prosecution really wants to focus on the facts of the case and the evidence of the case. But again, these are procedural technicality defenses, not defenses based on fact. So, you know, I really think that
where are the lines blurred between international law and Iraqi law that will be applied in the tribunal itself?
Well, again, it's important. The United Kingdom, the U.S., and the international community are taking great pains to ensure that this particular proceeding is perceived as an Iraqi tribunal, as an Iraqi proceeding with Iraqi law. So, you know, there's not a lot of international law interspersed. The only sort of dialogue in this case has been with the 5 judges. They've actually been trained in, I believe it was Norway, Australia, United Kingdom, and the U.S. in mock trials, so that they're familiar with international proceedings. They're familiar with what went on in Rwanda and Yugoslavia and East Timor, but at the same time they're going to apply indigenous Iraqi law.
If found guilty, Saddam could face the death penalty. What is the likelihood that A, he will be found guilty, and B, that he can appeal, and C, avoid the death penalty?
Well, I mean, he certainly has rights afforded to him for appellate proceedings. He has up to 12 appeals provided to him. So I think that even if he's found guilty, it's supposed to be within 30 days that he's subject to death, but I think he will exhaust all appeals and all remedies. At the same time, you have to understand that the facts here are pretty clear. So if they actually get to the facts of this case, I don't see him wiggling out of it. But again, you know, 12 appeals could take years.